Hey everybody, welcome to the first MMA Heat podcast of 2019. I'm Karyn Bryant.
It's not, is it the first one?
I think it is. Actually, no,
is?
you're right. We did one right after.
Or was that still 2018?
I think that was still 2000 and
I can't even remember.
We did one right after 232, you're right. But I think
we covered the big 232 show.
In 2018 anyway.
Either way, we're coming to you guys fresh. So, yeah, good to be here, guys. Good to do it.
That's right. So, folks, obviously we're going to get into talking about UFC Brooklyn a little bit. But Alan is, you know, he's kind of a big deal. For those of you who don't know, fighter, father, actor, model. And the acting part is really what's taking center stage these days, yeah?
Coming along. Yeah, you know, it's probably leaning a little bit more towards the stuntman rather than actor.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. Yeah. So we, what she's referring to is, worked late last night, and it's like I'm going to be working a lot of late nights for the next couple of weeks. The movie H.E.A.T, I believe that's the name of the movie. Either way, that's the main character. It's based off of a true story of an American who was taken hostage during the World War II in a Nazi concentration camp. Long story short, he was forced to fight. He went undefeated in these camps, fighting for his life. Escaped, made it back to America, became a professional boxer, and he fought a character who I'm going to be playing by the name of Roland Lastarza. And the funny thing is, Karyn, this guy kind of has similarities to me. That's why they picked me for the role. You know, they wanted somebody, obviously, who was a pro fighter, who has fighting skills. And then they needed somebody with the specs. In other words, we're both about 6 feet tall, both about 190 pounds. And then the guy kind of resembles me. He's an Italian guy from New York.
Yeah.
He's got a mole on his face. There's some striking resemblances. You know, for me to play the character, it definitely works out. So I'm excited to do it. Day one was last night. We're working nights though, so that means we're working from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. So I might not be coming to you in the fullest on all of these upcoming podcasts, but I'm excited to jump on this new venture.
Yeah, that's so great, and it's funny too because there seems to be more acceptance of you guys fighters in movies now and crossing. If I know like guys like Eve, you know, and Tyron's even done some stunt work. There's a lot. J.E.T is doing great stuff.
He is.
You know, really, really, really great stuff. But also even just, and those guys are doing more stunt work. But you know, we watched the other day. We watched Den of Thieves. You know, and it's got Bisping in it. It's got Max Holloway. It had.
I've been seeing that. It looks cool. What is that? Is that a TV show or where can I find it?
It's a movie, and it was on. You know, we watched it on demand. It's been on. You know, floating around on cable and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I feel like I don't remember if Yancey had a little. There was somebody else too that I'm forgetting, but like 50 Cent is in it and stuff like that. But it's cool, and like Michael, when Michael comes in the movie, he's not doing anything fight related. Like he's in a suit, he's tricked out playing a guy who's not. He might end up being a villain, but he's not like Mr. Action Guy there. He actually is just doing an acting scene. So it's cool and it's fun. I love that you guys are doing that.
Michael has become a lot more polished.
Yeah.
He's done a number of movies now. He's had a lot of, like you said, like speaking main roles, not just action fight sequences where he's more of a stunt man. So yeah, Michael's becoming more polished. The stunt coordinator on the movie I'm working on, he's very familiar with Tyron. He's worked with Tyron. He's worked with Eve. So yeah, he, like you said, a lot more and more of the MMA guys are starting to cross that path and come into acting and get their feet wet. So it's an exciting thing to do.
Cool. I love it. I think it's great. Well, this is not a show about Hollywood and the business, though, right now, Alan. So I know we could.
Shucks.
It's a sideshow, which we could do for sure. We could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have UFC Brooklyn coming up, and it's funny because people are asking me, and to be honest with you, I have to I got to talk to my producers about it and get the exact wording because this will be the first time I'm saying like UFC on ESPN and like my mouth.
Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Plus and this and that, and so. I'm so used to FS1, you know, for 6 years.
You're gonna mess up. I'm gonna be waiting. I'm like, oh shit. Is she gonna
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is this week, and honestly, like even things that like I didn't even think of on my social media and stuff. I had to change all my bios and some of the pictures and things like that, and it felt so sad. I had a picture of me, DC, and Kenny up on my Twitter one, and I was like, oh no. I mean,
it's gone.
I could keep it, I know, but you can still see the fox spit in the back. And I was like, I should probably change it and stuff. But I'm definitely looking forward to this weekend. I'll be working with Bisping and Rachael and Megan. And so that'll be, we'll be, doing the desk, and Megan will, do what Megan does backstage and stuff too. And we just had lunch yesterday with TJ Dillashaw. So I'm curious, Alan, what your take is on this, because TJ was extremely confident about the weight cut. Yesterday being Monday, he said he was already down 135 pounds. I don't know where the 10 pounds is coming from, but he seems so confident in Sam Calabita, who's working with him. He looked good. He didn't seem weak, drawn out.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously TJ can get to 35. We know that, but he said he'll make weight easier than Henry Cejudo. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
A bold statement by TJ. Henry's a guy that, although he's a flyweight king at the moment, he's a guy that's had trouble making weight as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's done it for a long time. Obviously, both guys have a wrestling background, but with Cejudo being an Olympic wrestler and doing it for so long, he should know how to cut weight better. But I think he is a different body type than TJ. TJ is a naturally pretty lean guy. You don't really see him bulk up too heavy, where Cejudo looks like a guy that carries a lot of water. And if you saw these recent pose down pictures between the two, Cejudo looks jacked. Cejudo's looking very jacked. And to be honest, I don't want to say I'm concerned, but we've seen that when putting on the muscle doesn't always benefit you in MMA, the John Jones effect, where it slows you down and it just kind of makes more water that you have to take out of your body, because the bigger the muscle, the more water is inside of that muscle. So I'm hoping that doesn't have any effect on it. But going back to TJ, I feel like I've been on the TJ bandwagon a lot lately, and I don't want to do it just because of the obvious that I like him. I love his striking style. I love the bang system. And we have a lot of the same sponsors and managers and all that stuff. I'm just being upfront. There are all those things that play into the effect. But when you take all that aside and you look at TJ, the martial artist, and how dialed in he has been and how just focused, we talked about it on the last show with me and you. For New Year's Eve, the guy trained 3 times that day. All he does is eat vegetables and protein and train and push himself to the limits. It's hard not to think that he is going to go out there and perform. And that, Karyn, is why I think we see so much confidence. I think he's already been confident in his capabilities. But I think when you're training 3 times a day, when you're lean as hell, when you're feeling stronger, faster, your cardio is reaching another level, you can do nothing but be confident. And that's what we're seeing out of him.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you've been in the game long enough, you feel like you can kind of tell false confidence, braggadocio from the real deal.
Right.
TJ doesn't flinch. He doesn't wipe his nose. He doesn't pull. There's none of the tells when he's like, I'm in the best shape of my life. Like with all the, you know what I mean? You didn't
injuries.
Yeah, nothing. Like, so you're there and you're like, he's given us no reason to believe anything less than that, right? You know what I mean? His performances have been incredible. He makes weight. He wrecks people. He's fantastic. So I hear what you're saying about the TJ bandwagon, and I feel like it's kind of hard not to be on the TJ bandwagon. You know what I mean? He's been so good, and when he lost his title to Dom, it was such a close fight. But over the years, obviously worked his way back, was very decisive in those wins over Cody. I think he's terrific. And last night I was watching that second fight with TJ and Cody again. I have to go back and watch DJ and Henry again, but TJ just moves so well, so fluidly, switches stance. He's fast. He knows really how to go for the kill. And I feel like that's one thing about him that is really exciting to watch, is that when he does smell the blood, when he comes close, he can go in there and go for the finish, and he's just all over you, whereas I don't know if Henry has that finishing instinct as much. I think Henry is very good, and obviously his wrestling is going to be ridiculous. His hands have really come along, and obviously to be able to beat DJ, even though I know some people say, oh my God, it wasn't the most decisive win, but to beat the GOAT that was DJ is a huge accomplishment. Yeah. But there's maybe it's just because we have more material to draw from to see TJ's abilities. Do you know what I mean? And see what happens when TJ gets knocked down. I mean, remember Cody put him in some really tough spots, dropped him on his butt, this and that, and that recovery for TJ has been great. I feel like his IQ is going to be higher in there against Henry, but The question for you, I guess, you know, I know you've consistently fought at welterweight, but, you know, is TJ's chin going to be compromised? I guess that's the one thing, right? Because if he can get dropped at 35, which he has by somebody like Cody, who's got a great right hand, if he can get dropped at 35 and recover, can he get dropped at 25 and recover the same way? I just don't know how well that works.
That's $1 million question. That's such a good question, Karyn. I mean, we've seen guys go up in weight and carry the power. The power can still go. You can put on weight and still have that same amount of power, if not increased power. When you got guys like Anthony Rumble Johnson goes from welterweight to heavyweight, and he's one of the hardest hitting heavyweights and light heavyweights. We've seen that, but we've also seen guys come down in weight, be a little bit too emaciated, have a little bit too strenuous of a weight cut, and their chin doesn't hold up. That's a good question. It's tough because the one thing that TJ does have going for him is he has a solid chin. If you already have a questionable chin, if you've taken a couple of concussions, tough losses in your career, going down is going to be a lot more risky. Going down is going to be a lot more risky because now you're putting more strain on an already questionable chin. Thank God that TJ already has a granted chin, but you said it. He is already so lean right now. There's nothing on him. I mean, he is shredded. He looks like he's at weight at this point, and you said it. He's got 10 pounds to go. Taking that 10 pounds off, how much is he going to put down back on? How drawn out is he going to be making that championship weight? There's no 1 pound allowance on this. And if he does get caught, how well is he going to be able to recover? We saw it. He came back against the tough Cody. He's one of the harder hitter guys in the division. He was able to take it on the chin. It knocked him down, but it didn't really give him duck legs, duck feet or anything. He knocked him down, but he got right back up. He was strong. That could be a bit of a factor. And I agree with what you said, too, in this fight about Cejudo, not quite maybe having that experience in the finishing ability. TJ's seen the finishing so many times that once you've seen what you could do, you know that once you kind of get close to that, you feel it. This is where I explode. This is where I just go for the kill. This is where I my energy because it's not as much of a gamble because I know I could put guys away. I've done it repeatedly. I don't think Cejudo, not looking at his record and not having his record in front of me, I don't think Cejudo has that many finishes, has quite as many finishes, and definitely not as many in devastating fashion. So, man, that's going to be one thing that we got to look out for that night, man, is if Cejudo lands on a big punch, which he can. Cejudo's got good hands now. How does TJ's hand hold up? How does his chin hold up? And then, I want to see his recovery and everything after with, that dramatic weight cut.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I asked him to, like I said, we had a media lunch with him. It's up on MMAHeat.com and on, our YouTube and everything. But I asked him something like, hey, what do you think about the future of the division, though? Or, if you win, you might be closing shop. And he's like, well, whatever. He wasn't that sad about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he wins, how much his intentions would be to stay there and defend at 25, or, we don't really know what the future of that division is. But Dillashaw was really not sad about maybe shutting it down, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know what I wanted him to say, but it was kind of funny how he was just like, whatever.
I think he sees it as, first off, it's not his division, and second of all, it's a feather in his cap. It's absolutely a feather in his cap to say the last ever fight at this division was with TJ Dillashaw. He is the one that dethroned it. And I'm like, this might already be a big storyline, but I have to remind myself that this is a possible double champ fight again. I mean, we're going to have another possible double champ when a couple of years ago it was unheard of. We never thought it would happen. Conor McGregor did the unthinkable in doing it, and that picture was ingrained in all of our minds. And now DC followed up so quickly. Then we got Amanda, the first woman double champ, and now a possible another champ a couple of weeks later. It's going to be pretty crazy if he's able to pull this off. For sure.
And for those out there who are big Henry fans, I feel like, we're a little one-sided with TJ. I
agree. I agree.
But obviously, Henry is the champion for a reason. He has that champion confidence. It's funny, too, because I remember actually years and years ago, I forget how many years ago it was, this guy that was managing him, I'll have to look up his name again, I forget, talked my ear off for over an hour, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, all right, dude, I get it. You're hyped on your guy. But told me about Henry Cejudo years ago. This was before like a Strike Fight Force thing or an Elite XC or something like that. Told me so much about him, and Henry's this and Henry's that and Henry's going to be this and Henry's going to be that. And like at that point, he just was sort of fresher off the Olympics. So it is interesting to me to see how far he's come and to know that that manager of his wasn't wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's actually pretty cool to see everything that Henry has become. And I think also, too, he does represent something nice for the, I guess we have to say Latinx, right, community. I think that's really cool. And I think that he has a real sense of pride. And I know that he wants to stay champion. I just think that, like, this is a tough fight. I know they're trying to say TJ's overconfident in this and that. But if I'm Henry, I'm a little concerned about TJ and his ability.
And I think to justify why we were kind of speaking more on TJ than Cejudo is just because he's been proven a lot longer. I mean, TJ's been around for a while. He's beaten the best guys in the division. He has done it repeatedly. He is at that point now where he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And Cejudo's coming off of just one of the biggest upsets ever. But he hasn't defended it enough, and that's why we're kind of leaning toward TJ. But to speak a little bit highly on Cejudo, I think what he needs to do what he does well, is try to nullify the offense of TJ. TJ is going to want to press forward. He's going to have that show that I've got the gas tank, I've got the footwork, I've got the punching power. And if Cejudo can get in his face and nullify that with the wrestling and be the quicker man, again, he's the natural 25er. Will the speed equate when they both reach 25? I believe Cejudo should have somewhat of a speed advantage on him, being a little bit natural flyweight guy and a shorter guy. I don't think it'll be dramatic, but yeah,
because TJ's so fast anyway.
CJ's so fast. I know. Right. I'm splitting hairs here, right? But with this argument, but it's the natural flyweight and the shorter guy you would think would have a little bit of an explosivity advantage on it, and then the wrestling. And so getting into TJ's face as well, not letting TJ push him backwards, but doing the opposite and nullifying TJ. That would be the route to victory for Cejudo, and he's very capable of it. We saw him do it against one of the GOATs, one of the best in the world, and DJ. It's just like you said, it's a tall task, no pun intended. Yep. Pun intended, actually. This is me and you. Pun intended, it's a taller task against TJ, literally. And I feel like TJ is just firing on cylinders right now. So it's a fight that I'm really excited for, and it's a fight that we kind of wanted for so long in the smaller divisions. You know, we wanted the DJ to do some super fights, but he was, and I'm not dissing him for this, but he was so stayed on course for wanting to make history and clean out the division and do what he does well. When I think the super fight was really what a lot of us the fan and me, were really yearning for. We really wanted to see the other weight divisions, some of the other guys. So Cejudo, props to him for doing this right away, going and taking the bigger, exciting fight. I'm thrilled for this fight. I'm more thrilled for this fight than I have been for some of the other flyweight championship fights in quite a while. Yeah,
I think it's going to be great. And actually, in that lunch, TJ talks about fighting Henry instead of Demetrius. So we definitely do get into that conversation and everything. So it's worth checking out. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. Really excited for it. I don't know what other fights you're really looking forward to on the card. So you want to jump around. I mean, I know you're a Cowboy fan, so I don't know, but I don't know which fight you're most looking forward to.
Well, I might need you to help me out on this one, Karyn. Can you enlighten me and tell me who is the co-main event on this card?
So the co-main event is Greg Hardy and Alan Crowder. And this is the situation that's a little tough because Greg Hardy is the one who former football player was
co-main event, a guy that's 3-0 with his shady past.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get it.
He had very explosive finishes on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He had 2 first-round finishes there. Then they sort of signed him to, like, they were kind of calling it more of a development deal.
Right.
He went and fought one more fight somewhere else, got another, first-round knockout. And so the guy that he's facing, Alan Crowder, has already been in the UFC. He lost a fight to Justin Willis. This is going to be the second of his 4-fight deal. And, it's interesting. I guess Crowder was supposed to be on a different card. He was supposed to fight in September, but this baby girl was born, and the timing just didn't work out. So he was given this opportunity, and definitely looking forward to it. It is. I agree with you. I'm surprised it's the co-main event.
I'm not saying this isn't going to be a banger. As a matter of fact, I think this is put in place to be a banger,
For sure.
and that's what we should expect. So
and for some contrast, to have big dudes right before the littler dudes. Like, it could be to satisfy the bloodlust of the audience for big dudes swinging heavy leather. I mean?
We like a little variety in our diet right here. So we're getting that. And it's going to be a banger because the flyweight fight, you know, as a lot of them do, it could go all 5 rounds. So to see a first-round knockout by some big man, I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad at is that when you have veterans of the sport like Joseph Benavidez or Cowboy Cerrone or up-and-comers like Alexander, and there's a couple others on there that I'm forgetting, but I don't understand how these guys aren't in that co-main or co-main slot. Right. And then you have a guy that they want to kind of promote like Hardy. Put him in that feeder, that slot, the first fight for the pay-per-view.
Right.
Or that second fight that kind of like gets the crowd going, the fight that people want to see a knockout before the meaningful fights happens. Right. Those are usually what happens. So I'm very surprised by this. And then obviously there's the backstory to it, not to get into his backstory, but the mix with him on the same card as Paige VanZant and
Rachael Ostovich, who was the victim. I know
it's a bit ironic. I don't know if ironic
uncomfortable.
Is the proper word.
I mean,
uncomfortable might be better.
And that's the thing. And you know, we will address it on the air. You know, we will probably not belabor the point. You know what I mean? But it has to be addressed, obviously. And it is interesting in that situation. You know, like, I mean, he did a very bad thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And he got convicted of a very bad thing. And he didn't get sent away because she didn't show up to testify. So the guilty conviction and everything was expunged from his record. So legally it didn't ever happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to believe in people changing their ways. I want to believe that people can learn from mistakes and get better. It sucks as a woman sort of thinking about that and feeling bad for Rachael. But in that situation, again, I feel like we were talking about this a couple weeks ago about something like, you know, she said she's okay with it, right? And then people are like, oh, well, she has to say that. Well, not really. She actually really doesn't have to say she's okay with it. But I feel like, I guess it was the John Jones thing. That was it. It was like, let's take her at her word. If she said she's okay with it, I want to be okay with it too. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to. I don't want to make it like, you better feel bad about this, Rachael. Why aren't you mad? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If she has come to a decision, if she has made peace with it, I want to accept that. And it's just uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. It's the truth. It's uncomfortable.
I mean, you have to. First off, I agree. You know, people can learn from their mistakes, and people do. Everybody's made mistakes, and we do learn. But you still have to be sensitive to the fact of that this is somewhat recent. On both accounts, and you're putting two people in uncomfortable. And let's talk about being uncomfortable, literally uncomfortable, because us as fighters, many a times during fight week, for the fans watching, we are put in the same room as all of us fighters. Right. They'll say, all right, only fighters and one cornerman come in here. Let's have a talk. Let's do our medicals. I'm sitting here signing posters right next to somebody, or I'm getting coffee, or we're on the same bus on the way to this event or that. So there are going to be times where she's going to be sitting right next to him, and he didn't do anything to her, obviously, but there's going to be that uncomfortableness of like, okay, the storyline all week is going to be about me coming back from what happened, and the storyline for him all week is going to be coming back about what he did to somebody that happened to me, and it's going to be a very uncomfortable energy, and so I feel sorry for her in that fault. It's not Greg Hardy's fault that he's put on the same card, and what I'm getting at is I would like to see this. I think this would help a lot. If Greg Hardy goes and wins and knocks the guy out and he gets on the mic and he says, I'm coming, light heavyweight division, watch out. I don't think it's a great look for him. I think if he gets on the mic and addresses the situation in some regard, it just says, listen, I'm new. I'm blessed to be here. I can't believe I'm fighting in the UFC. And I'm in a co-main event spot. And I know a lot of you guys don't know me yet, but I want to tell you, we all make mistakes. And I'm gonna address this, and I'm working on myself to be a better person, as a better fighter and a better husband. If he says anything that could say, look, there was a sense of genuine person inside of him showing us that, look, we all make mistakes. I would just something right there to develop a relationship with the fans, because we don't really know him other than that. That's all we know him by. So something moving forward to show that he's improving. I think that would be the smart route. That's my personal opinion, rather than swiping it under the rug and it always being the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really hope, like you said, if he wins, he does say something to that effect.
Yeah.
I do hope so. And, just speaking for the fight-wise, it could be interesting, if you watch his fights on Dana White, he just comes out guns a-blazing. You know what I mean? There's the one thing on the second knockout he got on Dana White, like, he's just all offense. You know what I mean? There's no defense. He's coming in real fast and just kind of wild. So it'll be interesting. Crowder has more experience, than some of these opponents that he's faced. If he's going to come out, guns a-blazing that way for his first official, UFC fight, I'm not sure. And in terms of the Rachael and Paige fight, I'm not really sure how that fight's going to go. Like, I feel like, Paige has been gone for a while now. She had to have the arm surgery, and then it didn't take. I feel like she had to have it again, I believe, right?
She had to have it again, yes.
Rachael fought more recently and stuff, but with everything that's going on, like, I honestly now I feel like Paige could be a totally different fighter this time now. Like, I don't know if she, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure what to expect.
I don't either. I mean, the more we dig into this card, the more this card becomes even more and more interesting. But it's a different card. It's got some interesting matchups. Some, like you said, the layout, the lineup of this fight is very interesting. The main event sells this fight. The main event is this fight alone is all I want to really see. But not to move on too fast from the women. But the Cowboy fight as well. The Cowboy fight, I feel like, man, this is a dangerous fight for Cowboy. And look, his name is Cowboy, anyone, anywhere, anytime kind of guy. But it has the reminiscence. It has the energy. It has the effect of the Darren Till thing all over again. Okay, this young up-and-coming guy, but he hasn't fought anybody that experienced yet, or nobody to the effects of Cowboy. Are we going to see the young guy blast the old lion? Or are we going to see the old veteran put the young guy in his place? And we saw what happened with the Darren Till fight. And everybody takes an L now and then. But this guy is so dangerous. He's got the physique to be strong. He showed that he's got knockout ability against strikers. He showed that some of the best grapplers in the world, he was able to get to not only just hang with them, out grapple them, and get in the dominant position. I know Cowboy's good off of his back, but if Cowboy is not in the dominant position and he's taking punches, and the guy is so strong, and he has the knowledge to stay out of the danger areas, man, I don't want to see. I don't know. I'm such a. I like Cowboy. I root for him, as a lot of us do. If he pulls this off, man, freaking Cowboy, give that man another sponsorship, give that man another bonus, whatever he deserves. But I feel like this is a really tough uphill battle for Cowboy in this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. Darren Till is massive, right? And so I guess it's not, being blasted by Darren Till for Cowboy, that's different than going back to 55 and fighting Hernandez. He won't be as undersized. I mean, but like you said, Alex is yoked, right? But I agree with you about the element of danger in this fight. Like, Hernandez came out, totally blasted Beneil in about 42 seconds, I think it was, in his short notice debut into the UFC, when most people have nerves or whatever, came out and did that. And then he beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier. And, the whole thing about that one where he was kind of mad at himself for not finishing him. And that's the kind of guy I should have finished. And I guess he kind of really beat himself up about that loss, which is sort of interesting. But, but he's trying to say, okay, I've learned from that now and I understand it. Like, he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He seems to be analytical enough to learn from his mistakes, but also not just be, a head case. I feel like he actually can just go out there and throw down. I'm excited, and, that is the main event for ESPN. Like, the way the show is going to start, I believe we start on Plus. Then there's going to be stuff on ESPN, and then the main card goes back to Plus. So Alex, Hernandez, and Cowboy are the main event of the prelims. You know what I mean? So that will be on ESPN. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think it should get everybody excited. Like you said, Cowboy's the man, right? Like, every time he fights, you got to watch. He's must-see TV, but it's dangerous.
It's a dangerous fight. And, you know, like when I think about the plus side for Cowboy, we could see, like, you take a guy like Rick Story, who's this gritty wrestler who pushes forward and comes power punches. Like, it's kind of stylistically a bad matchup for Cowboy. Look what Cowboy did to him. He just picked him apart. So we could see that. It's just a tough fight. It's a tough sell because not only the tools that Hernandez possesses, but he's not quite the big name yet. So if this was like a top 2 or 3 numbered guy and he's been in UFC for a while, it's like, all right, take this fight. It's like an RDA. He's a tough guy, but you win and you're right there in title contentions. But I think Alex is still he's definitely known in the MMA community, the hardcore UFC people. Yeah. But he's not a household name yet, but he's that good. And it's like, man, I don't want to say it's a lose-lose, but it's just a tough sell. It's a tough fight against a guy that's not as well known yet.
Absolutely. Well, one of Cowboy's former opponents, Yancy Medeiros, is also on the card. Gregor Gillespie, who is fantastic, really an incredible wrestler, but also just a guy who can put it all together. Glover Teixeira was supposed to fight Ion Cutelaba, but Cutelaba's out, so Carl Robertson is in. There are some solid fights on this card. Like you said, Joe B's on the card, Joe Benavidez against Dustin Ortiz. Like there's gonna be some really good fights. It's just was that right? No, wait, I said Dustin Ortiz, not David Ortiz, right? That's Big Papi.
Dustin, yeah.
And that'd be a very big weight discrepancy. That wouldn't be okay. Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a fun card. Just so folks know, too, the way the shows are going to work now, it's going to be a little different since we're doing things for Plus. So we're going to have a pre-show on Friday. It's not like a specific weigh-in show and a specific pre-fight show that people should start to look for. They should look for a pre-show that will be available starting on Friday. And then on Saturday, we don't do a separate pre-fight show, right? So it would be the same one to kind of get you hyped for that. And then we do more during the fights, and then we are doing a post-show on ESPN Plus. So at this point, we all got to get the app. I still don't have it yet, and I was like, can I get a free one? And they were like, yeah, I don't know. So like, I don't even know if I'm going to get a free one. And I was like, all right, I get that, like, it's not cost prohibitive, but at the same time, it's like if I work there, I don't get a free.
Like, come on,
I don't get a free app.
UFC fighters get free Fight Pass, and so I was kind of like, well, look, if we're part of ESPN now, can we get a little hookup on the Plus? Yeah. I haven't heard anything yet either.
Yeah, we'll see. But also, folks need to know, I guess, because I have been seeing some tweets where people are like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to watch the whole thing on my phone. Like, if you don't have Chromecast or a Fire Stick or whatever, people, wake up. Yeah. Get out of 2006 or whatever. It's like you can get the stuff onto your TV now. Yeah, it might take one extra step or whatever. So for the old school folks who just really like regular TV, it sounds intimidating. It's not as hard as it seems to do the Chromecasting and the Fire Stick and stuff like that. And for the youngins, the millennials who already know how to do all that anyway, I'm hoping people find us. I got to say, I guess that's my biggest concern with moving off of a network like FS1 where, you can just channel surf by and find it. It is going to take a little more work on the part of the fans. So speaking to you guys out there, I hope you come and find us because we're going to have a lot more fun. Not more fun. I shouldn't say that's not fair because we always had a blast. It's just going to be a little different. The formatting of things will be a little different. It might be a little looser. It might even be a little more like raucous and stuff. So, and what we do at the beginning of this, I'm sure will change and mutate a little bit. But I really do hope people come along for the ride. Because I'm psyched, and it's going to be me, Mike, and Sugar up sitting there. So there's no way we're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch it just because where are you guys? I'm curious. Where is the studio? Where are you guys filming this?
So there's no studio now. So we are on the road for every fight. So
you were on the road. You were there
so
at
I'm already. I've got some dates booked out.
In the arena.
Yeah, the desk is always going to be on the road, which is cool because, it's fun when you guys come up to the desk in a post-fight situation. You're still bloody and sweaty. You got the ice pack and the bust. It's cool. I love that immediacy, and it's so much more entertaining and intimate, than being on a Skype or, a satellite with somebody after the fight, and they got the headset and they can't hear because the arena's loud. That kind of thing is going to be much better, but it does demand more travel, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of travel.
And so there's some other things behind the scenes that have just sort of changed what my workload is and like different things like that. But But it's fun to be on the road. It definitely is fun. So I head to New York on Thursday, and I know I'm going to Phoenix too. I have some other dates too, but I guess they didn't want us to tell everybody every single thing, even though I think Bisping did. But yeah, I have some good dates coming up. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
I guess I got to go download my
I know, right?
ESPN Plus. I don't have it yet either, so I got to start figuring it out. I mean, what are we, Tuesday today or whatever day it is? Yeah, Tuesday. We got a couple days, but I'll get it figured out. I don't want to miss anything. I want to see all the I just want to see the production
right.
of how things are going on ESPN, and like you said, a lot of things will probably change and evolve, and
right.
we're gonna get tweaked as it goes. But I'm interested to see this first show on a new network.
Yeah, and for those of you watching and listening, if you have ESPN Plus, or like I actually am curious if people wanted to comment, how they feel about it switching to an app, and how they feel about the accessibility of it, because for some people they might love it even more because they just always have their phone out anyway, what
right.
I mean? So I'm just really curious what people's take on that is, but I am excited about it. And we did a UFC Now last week, right? So people can look that up on our classic Fight Pass.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about these upcoming fights. So we talked a lot more in depth about Hernandez, about Alexander Hernandez, about and this fight leading in with Cowboy. So make sure and check that out before these fights.
For sure. Now, Alan, I forgot to mention, so I did some other interviews too. So I interviewed Corey Sandhagen, who, this is such a weird thing because he was supposed to, so John Lineker was supposed to fight Dominic Cruz. That was supposed to be the co-main event initially, I believe. So which is why the Greg Hardy thing, I don't think it was wasn't scheduled to be, I believe. It would have been Dom and John. So Dominic gets hurt, so Corey Sandhagen comes in to Corey Sandhagen and John Lineker. Then John Lineker gets hurt, or decides he doesn't want to fight Corey Sandhagen. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I like John Lineker a lot, but like it's very different fighting Dominic Cruz and fighting Corey Sandhagen, so whatever. But he's injured. So he's out now. Lineker's out. So now this newcomer, Mario Batista, is coming in. So now we have Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista. That's going to be on the fight card. Corey's the one who had that crazy fight with Yuri Alcantara where his arm was like double bent backwards and all that stuff. And he survived and then ended up winning the fight in the second round. So I talked to Corey, but I also talked to I really like Bilal Muhammad. I know you're cool with him now because you already beat him.
Yeah.
But I showed him the video. So for folks, if you haven't seen, and I'm not going to give it away, but if you haven't watched my interview with Bilal, you totally should, because the dude is really cool. He has a really good sense of humor, and he's a funny dude. But Alan has a little cameo in it, a little cameo shout out to Bilal, which is pretty funny. So people definitely need to look for it. He's a good dude, man. He's a funny guy.
I was a little bit worried, to be honest. I was like, man, I thought about it after the video because I'm totally cool with them.
Right.
I mean, we don't really talk a lot, but I totally I root for the guy. I like the guy. But it's always different when someone wins a fight and loses a fight because you see it after the fight, right? When the guy wins, he goes up to the guy and he grabs him by the head. He's like, yeah, man. Like, yo, you hit me good one time, man. But you'll get there. And the guy that lost is always like, oh, bro, get out of my just give me my space. And so I try not to do that when I'm friends with somebody that I may have beaten because they might not think that the happiness is so happy on the inside. So,
totally.
Anyway, I was kind of throwing some jabs at Bilal in the video they were talking about playing with him. But then I was like, man, I hope he doesn't think that I'm kind of trying to rub it in as much as I'm trying to just say, yo, my guard is down. I'm totally cool with you, man.
Yeah, no, he took it like a champ. Thought it was funny, and then kind of expands on what you were saying. And it's funny because I totally hear what you're saying. Like my favorite visual on your whole "get out of my face" is I love you, Luke, and Yoel Romero's all up, and Luke's like, could you just please,
bro? Yeah.
Could you please just please?
And the worst part, he was probably seeing 3 Yoel Romeros right there, and he's like, I love you.
Totally. What?
Yeah.
But so it's funny, but I think the other element between you and Bilal is that you each made each other an extra $50,000. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I
feel like that kind of makes it okay.
We have that that memory together.
I know. But
exactly.
People should definitely check it out. Also, especially, how should I phrase this? If you're at all amused by Colby Covington playing the victim in the title shot picture, then you should watch the interview with Bilal, because Bilal has some thoughts on Colby and, and the situation, because we know Bilal trains alongside T-Wood out at Rufus Sport, yeah, it's pretty funny. So we do get into some of that stuff too.
Good for Bilal, man.
We talk. You know, he's teammates with Paul Felder, and they're like addicted. You know those air fryers? You've seen the infomercial for that cooking thing. It's like the air fryer. It's like fried food, and you don't have any. Anyway, they're like, apparently Felder's like an addict, and he's like pushing air fryers on everybody at the gym, and then everybody. It's really random and very funny, and so we were talking about that too. Really fun, just cool. So we have Corey Sandhagen, Bilal Muhammad, and the lunch with TJ Dillashaw that people can see on MMAHeat.com if they want to get hyped up for the event. So yeah, so you're going back to shoot the film tonight again, right? Yeah.
Back again at it, man. It's been fun though. It's been a real fun learning experience. Getting it, you know, we go from fighters that everything has to be perfect to movie fighting is a lot different, and I'm just learning it. It's a lot. Look, a guy that came off of a bad neck and taking the punches left and right. I had to do a 30-minute warm-up before we even started the fight choreography, just because, you know, it puts a toll on your neck. But all in all, it's a fun thing, man. It shoots in the actual shooting of the movie is, I believe, in May in Bulgaria and Hungary. Wow. Yeah, so it's out there. But I'm excited. Go back to it tonight, and I'll be doing the vampire type of living for the next couple of weeks. Shooting nights.
All right. Hopefully the family's okay with it.
Yeah, not too much.
Well, there's that. All right, so listen, on social media, I'm KB Heat on Instagram, Karyn Bryant on Twitter, and of course we have MMA Heat across all those platforms as well. Where can they find you, Alan?
Yep, check it out, guys. Alan Jouban across all social media, and again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, playlist Unguarded. I put those out every week, and thank you guys for tuning in on, I don't know if it's our first or second show of the new year, but we're going to keep them coming. We're going to keep the energy up. We're going to try to get in person. We've just been busy. Like, I have this movie thing, but whenever I'm going to Black House, I will be back there in person with Karyn, and we always have a great show when we do those. But we'll get some more to you guys for sure in person.
Cool. And just for those who don't know, Black House is not my house.
The Black House.
This is Brown House. This is Mocha
Light-skinned Black House.
Yeah. All right, Alan. Have fun on the film. Keep your hands up.
Will do. I'll keep my hands up.
Sure. See you guys.
Peace, guys.